with Shilo, everybody, with like, oh my God, that was perfect timing. She was like, climbs right over. That, your perspective and how you react to things and how you handle things make a huge difference in your happiness. Like, I know when you look at some people, you're like, oh, they're just really happy and everything just always works out for them and goes their way. Like, no, I can bet you they do a lot of work to stay that positive. I can tell you right now, if you think that I'm just permanently smile always, like just a little ray of sunshine, that is not true. Thank you for the follow. If you follow me, I'll follow you back. And if you guys want to be able to get firsthand, like see the stuff that we're going to be showing everything, you can join the Zoom. And you can ask questions. We will answer them. Crud, I totally went off on that tangent and forgot the flow of, perspective. So it's just, I can tell you the difference between the two different brain surgeries. And that is because of the personal development. That's because of, yes, I had to do the work. Even if I surrounded myself with all of these mindset queens like Annie and so many other people, if I didn't do the work, I wouldn't change. So I'm not knocking that. I definitely put the time and the work in that. But I can tell you it's a lot easier to start talking nicer to yourself when you're surrounded by other people who just do not tolerate that. They're like, no, we're growth mindset. We're not talking like that. And so I just think it really is important when you can, surround yourself with people that have things that maybe you're working on, because it will rub off on you. Like, oh, you're really good at that. Like, I definitely can say when my friends are drinking more water and encouraging me and we keep doing things like that and hydration, I feel like I do a better job. I'm trying to be serious here.
Did I just get to my eye? Yeah. I also think that a really important part of it is like, not like self-awareness isn't the right way to put it, because I don't want it to feel like have any negative connotations, but like when you're able to call your own self out on your shit, but with love. Like, was I just screaming? Dale can attest, he can yell from the other room. I was just screaming before I got on this Zoom, but I hold a higher expectation of myself. I was allowed to be mad about it. And it was literally 5 minutes it took me to get on the Zoom. And then once the problem is solved, like I let it go and I let myself be okay. Like, of course you were stressed. Your phone wasn't charging, so you couldn't get in the Zoom. You couldn't get on the internet. Like, that would stress any normal human being out. You're human. When things go wrong, like our initial reactions are to get frustrated, especially if you're neurodivergent or you're, what's the word, dysregulated or whatever it is. Like, you're going to snap and have an emotional reaction to something that's not necessarily what you're upset about. And self-growth comes from being able to look at that and then switch it up. Like, even as I was mad, I was piling all this stuff that's going to help me feel better next to the computer, because I knew I was going to get on here. I just needed a minute to figure it out. And then I got on here and I like switched my brain thinking, like, was it sarcastic and was I fake smiling when I first said it? Yes. But your body doesn't know the freaking difference when you fake smile or not. So like, why not release the endorphins and give yourself the break? Like, give yourself the grace to have had the moment. Give yourself 5 minutes to be upset. Give yourself, if you're crying, probably 10 minutes, because your girl it takes me like, I have like, I like get into it and then I cry and then I like have to like let it go. So like 10 minutes for crying, but like whatever your emotion is, give yourself a set time for it and then lovingly give yourself steps to get out of it instead of beating yourself up for it. And I think that's the biggest change that Tawny helped me, and our friendship truly helps me continue to remember, is that like I can always give myself a little bit more love, even if I'm calling myself out for the growth. Ooh. And that's really, really powerful dynamic to have. And like, that's a new level of trust that like I've gained in myself since doing self-development for like the last 3.5 years. So
yes, not the VD. No, that was like perfect. I just was like, that is the change up. Like before, I almost want to say there was a couple parts, I feel like, in my healing journey where I almost went like the toxic positivity. Like I thought if I just like love myself so hard and try and not, and once I started to realize that like there's not something wrong with you, you're not ever going to get to this so evolved place that like things don't bother you. It's that you bounce back, or you give yourself grace and you let yourself have those big emotions and have those feelings and realize that that's human and normal. Now, how can I turn it into something positive or proactive? Not necessarily positive, because I know right now somebody is thinking in their head some bad situation. You're like, how am I going to turn this into positive? And I can tell you with time, you will find this weird sense of when you grow enough, even something crazy things. Like I know some people think, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to trigger you at all, but with my stroke, I'm like, I'm glad that it happened to me. Like I'm glad all of my brain surgeries have happened because I have like grown into the person that I'm growing today. And I am so much more grateful like that I get to see this dude.
Perfect. Come on. So we're having a conversation about self-development and like basically about self-care and how like it's affected us in the way like we treat ourselves. And like just kind of the nuances of that. Sorry, continue, Tony. I was just cluing on it. I got really excited.
I'm glad. And these people, because, and I think, I mean, I know we've all heard the thing, like imagine, you know, a younger you, would you talk to that person that way? Or like, imagine your best friend. And I know hearing all those things, they are helpful, but it really is when you have your friends around you, like, because you vent to your friends, you talk about things and you start saying stuff and they can call you on your shit and be like, stop talk like Annie would do is stop talking to my friend like that. Like, why are you talking to my friend Tawny like that? And I'm like, well, wait, okay, why am I punching myself in the face? Like life punches me in the face enough. Why am I being mean to myself? And so I'm just grateful for these human beings. And I would love to hear like, I don't know, Ron's walking around the house. So you're probably like, I'm trying to find a place that's like not so loud. It's just good to see him on. And like that, there's some people, and please, if someone pops into your head, give them a text. Like that's what's so cool about social media, about just like the online world, is like you really can reach out to people. I know you might think too much time passed, or I don't know, but like I don't know about you guys, but I feel like everybody I talk to is like life has just gotten like, where did the year go? Where did everything go? Holy smokes. High life.
And what you said about the best friend thing, I want to hit on really quick because I think it's really, really easy to just be like, yeah, okay, nobody's calling me out on it. But like the things you say to yourself when you look in the mirror, like I just want to ask you guys, are they good or bad? Just like give us feedback in the comments. Like mine were 100% bad. I would look in the mirror and I would look for what's wrong. I looked in the mirror to check myself, not because I was vain and thought I looked beautiful, but because I was so insecure that I thought if I kept checking that I looked right, I would present better. And maybe that's not for everybody and not everybody can relate to that. But I think to some degree you can relate to having a time in your life where you looked in the mirror and you only saw the flaws or the negatives. And that's so, so dangerous because that is also going on outside of the mirror. So like the things that your brain is saying to you, these negative thoughts, it doesn't make them true just because you think them in your head. And I think we often get caught up in like our thoughts and like our gut feelings. Those are two totally separate things. The thoughts that just pop in your head, those are gremlins. Those are not real. Like that's not reality unless you can be like, prove it. And like it can, you can logically prove it to yourself that all it's true. Like oftentimes like my voices are like, you're not enough, like you've done, like you're not doing good things today, you're lazy or whatever. But like I'm also healing. I also went through a phase in my life, gosh, like just 6 months ago, they both know this, where I wasn't sleeping. So of course I'm really tired now. Like why would I be so hard on myself? I'm not lazy now. I was exhausted. My body's finally at rest. Like that's a good thing. My body's healing and gaining its energy and processes back. Like you have to start finding ways to deconstruct the negative thoughts because they're not reality. And so when you have people around you calling you out, when you start to be able to evaluate your own things and know that not every thought is truth on top of that, and then you can start switching up your language, which I'm sure Rana is going to talk about because he's like a master at switching up his language. It's kind of like his whole thing is being this really positive spoken person because I know it helps with your kids. So it not only then helps you, Ron can talk about that because I can't, but I just even know from when I was a nanny, when I started doing affirmations and things and had her do them with me, like the way you start to talk to yourself then reflects on the way your kids love themselves. Like the way my mom looked at herself in the mirror was the way I looked at myself in the mirror for years, and it was not good. Like she tried on outfit after outfit to be flattering. And that's not how I look at myself anymore. That's not what I would want for my kids. That's not what I want for Ron's beautiful daughter to ever feel. I want her to look at herself in every outfit, even with her tummy out because she ate 2 bowls of pasta to beat her brothers, and feel like the bad bee she is, because that little girl is, she's a bad bee. I love her. So like that's my riff on that.
Me too. Me too. Hi, everybody. These two are like my best friends in the entire world. I went 42 years before I actually learned what true friends really are. And these two here are phenomenal. I got to say, I owe you so much for what I've done for myself. And because you have taken my hand when I was tearing myself up, when those gremlin messages were just, they were so dominant up here, but I'm able to put up this great front to hide it, because they say that we're our own worst critics, right? Our own worst enemies, because we know every single thing that are flaws. We know what they are, right? We can't hide them from ourselves. So these gremlin messages, I learned, they're protecting you. I use humor. I make people laugh. I like to make people laugh before they can laugh at me. So I say them first so I know how to defend myself against it. I flip it into being this funny, humoristic way. Fact of the matter is, those gremlin messages, like I said, they're protecting me in a convoluted way. It's a good thing. I've learned that those gremlin messages, you can control what they say and how they're said to you. You can put them into a positive. It doesn't run its show. You control it and tell it what to do. And when you learn how to get that control, you get the freedom to find out who you really are and what you're made up of in here. My gremlin messages are no longer a gremlin. It's my cheerleader. It's one of my other best friends. It's myself. And that's something that I never, ever, ever took value in until I learned it from two wonderful people here right now. I have to say that what I've done in the last 2 years, yeah, that's for me. In 42 years, I'm almost 43. My birthday's coming up. But in 42 years, I never truly knew what I was made of until now. And there's a chance for you too. This Spark Squad, this crew, this family that we have, it's legit family. I'm just gonna stop there because I can ramble and talk so many good things about you two all the time.
Like, if your go-to ways you change the gremlin messages, I just want to know like how you actually do it, like how you practice it, how you did that.
Well, believe it or not, it's the first time that I was told to just try changing the verbiage. Literally, say this back to me, and it will start coming back to you. That first couple of times feels awkward and uncomfortable, but when you start seeing like, holy cow, that's actually kind of true, it's working, right? When you start doing that, it becomes second nature. That when you identify, it's like, Ron, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's one of my gremlin messages, by the way. Ron, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'd be like, Ron, you have to try something better. Let's do this and conquer it right. Let's do this the right way. Let's find a better angle. And as soon as it becomes second nature, things, when they say, take a breath so you don't smack your kids' bums, it works way better when those gremlin messages are your cheerleaders rather than a gremlin. So I hope that answers your question.
That totally did. And that was a perfect example of like something that you used to like say to yourself, and now you replaced it with like a better, more solution and just nicer way to talk to yourself. I absolutely love that. I know the gremlin, once I started learning, like, it's not that it's just misguided. It's trying to do something. It's trying to protect me, but not in the most productive way. And a lot of times when I catch myself going back into those old ways, I try and be like, that wasn't successful before. So like, why don't we try something else instead of like beating ourselves up right now? Like, how about we just like, okay, no, like, let's be nice to ourselves and see what we can do.
To build on that, the pure definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different result. So try something different. You never know, you'll hit that home run.
And it might be something as small as, I know for me, I used to say all the time, I'm so stupid after my brain surgery. And so I replaced it with, I'm so silly, because silly, once you catch yourself starting to say the S word, you say silly. And then eventually soon, like sometimes I'm like, you're so smart. You're so smart that you're thinking a different way of doing this. And I can tell you that if it feels weird, just like affirmations and all of those things, meditation, all that stuff in the beginning, I really was uncomfortable when they're like, the more uncomfortable you are with it, the more you need it. And I was like, oh, F you. And then I was like, you're right. Crap. I do need it. And like, now that I meditate and do things more, there's a reason why everybody says breath work. There's a reason why it's helped so many people through so many things. I mean, so I just know like that's how I get through stressful situations, painful situations. Take a deep breath.
Because that is the only way, and I think people aren't talking about that enough, that stuff, that woo-woo, whatever title you just want to give it, I don't say that because I have respect for it. It comes from ancient wisdoms, but like, you can call it whatever you want based on your belief system, but that stuff is some of the only ways, if you want to call it prayer, if you want to sit with God for 20 minutes and just like sit in nature and hear whatever, like that is still meditating, for the record, for those of you that don't like those wordings. But for those that do, like those are the only ways, or maybe if you're really against it, hear me, those are the only ways to actually slow down your sympathetic nervous system. Those are the only ways to get yourselves out of fight or flight states. So many people are living in a constant state of fight or flight or anxiety, or in these dysregulated neuro states. And not just people who are like neurodivergent, but like people who are normal. That's why so many people are burnt out at their jobs, because they're burning at the ends at both candles. Like, you are dysregulated. Your sympathetic nervous system is exhausted. You are not giving it a break other than when you're asleep. And then it has 200 other jobs it's trying to do to make up for all the damage you're doing, like with all our bad habits. During the day, it's trying to make up for the 10 espresso martinis you chugged. You know, like, how's your body supposed to process those? I'm talking to myself, but like, you know, like, you can't expect your body to process things like that and it not have an effect. So you have to start doing things that counteract that and bring you moments of peace physically and mentally. Because when you do the deep breaths, when you do the meditation and all of that, it is not just mental, it's actually physical. And the physical relief is what starts to truly repair your mental health. It starts allowing your hormones and all of your things to raise to normal, or to like your cortisol levels to lower. So like, that was like nerdy science component of it, but those are like some of the only ways to do that. You can pretend like that going to get a beer after work is actually relaxing you, but it's not. It's not changing what's going on here and here and here, like in your centers. Like, you have to address the whole problem instead of just continuing to put band-aids on these giant, like, it's bullet holes. Like, if we live in America, we can say that. Like, I'll say it. Our lives are surrounded by violence like that. I know, Ron, it's not the same for Ron, but like,
in Newfoundland,
we have so many stressful issues just in our daily lives, even sending your freaking kids to school. How are you supposed to not be stressed?
well,
How are you
that
not supposed to be
like,
stressed going to malls?
you can even take it to like a different level of just the world we live in. Basically all ads and marketing is a fear of missing out on something. If I don't get this, I'm Barbie market. Oh my God, have you seen the Barbie movie? All these things. So even if you're like, well, my job's really low key and I don't really care, I don't watch the news, I don't watch the politics. Okay, do you watch shows? And I'm going to call a whole bunch of you out, and some of you are going to get mad at me. The people, my mom, I know, because Annie, I'm looking right at one, and I know my own mother I'm about to call out. Those of you guys who are watching like serial killers and these other things to calm down. Hello, is your nervous system not dysregulated that watching how I murdered my mom? I couldn't fall asleep. I was up for 3 hours. I had to find out why this man, how he got away with it. No, I was like, why are there shows like this on the TV show? Because I don't watch those type of things. But yes, while I was home, could I not help myself? And I started binging it. And who was up till 3 a.m. because I'm watching, true crime. So
it appeals to our inner psychopath.
I can't help it. I used to watch it all the time. I used to love all that stuff. But what I started looking at was, I deal with anxiety. So I love it. It's a reward stack now. And so I'm not telling you, and please do not hear us, we're not telling you not to drink, not to watch your share. Those are still your little guilty pleasures. I don't care. Watch it. I love Love is Blind. Why do I want to watch that trash? Because I do. Okay. I just love it. Watching people.
I'm fully caught up on Love Island. If you watch that season, holla at your girl. I got to talk to somebody.
Okay. No, there's a Love Island. I needed a cheesy.
You gotta watch Love Island.
So it's all in moderation, but it's more just like, I started looking at all these things. I deal with anxiety, and I'm like, why am the doctors and everyone, antidepressants, and I'm not, if they work for you, they work for you, but people are so quick to just give you a pill for something, when it's like, maybe I should cut that out. Maybe I should try and not do that. Maybe I shouldn't watch a horror movie an hour before I go to sleep. Like, I told Patrick, I can't watch horror movies right before bed. I have to watch something else, or I always have a nightmare and then I don't sleep well. So it's like, you just start to learn your body. And I'm just all about like, cutting out negative friends who only want to talk trash. I can definitely say, if you find yourself always having to I used to think like, well, I'm not partaking in it and like, I'm just letting them vent. But I can tell you, once I cut out some people, when I was like, literally all you do is dump on me. Why am I continuing to just sit here around this? And when I cut it out, it is amazing when you realize, when you cut out negative things, that you're like, why did I deal with that for so long? Like negative bosses. I look back and I'm like, so many times I don't understand. And I get it now when everybody around you is like, I wouldn't tolerate that. And you're like, and you, I don't know, it was a sense of pride of something like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let them win. And I was like, you let them win because you let them keep talking to you that way. And you can actually just say, nope, no more. Oh, actively removing negativity only makes room for more positivity. And I truly do believe that, because even if you're super positive, if you're letting this, there's a beautiful picture of it and it's like these oranges and one orange is rotten and it starts rotting all the other oranges around it. So I'm gonna say on that.
You broke up a tiny bit at the end, but then you came back strong. Shoot, I was gonna say something. It's also not that like you have to cut those people out entirely. I think oftentimes like we think a cutout means like you have to have like a conversation, like friendship over. You don't have to be like that. I think a lot of times boundaries is a very confusing conversation for people. So maybe we can talk about boundaries a little bit too, because I feel like kind of goes along with mental health. Boundaries are not things you put on other people. They are yours. It's like a fence. Like the best analogy I ever heard is in a podcast, and it talks about how boundaries are your fence. They are built on other people's property. They are built to keep things out, but there's a gate to let things in. You open it when you want and you close it and lock it when you want. You're the one with the key. You could build your fences as high as you want. That's up to you, but you are the one in charge of them. People can come tear at them. People can come break at them. And then you can have a discussion with them. Or if you live in the United States, you could find pew pew. But I'm just kidding. I don't know why I'm on this kick today. I've been on a TikTok scroll hole lately. But I lost my train of thought. But regardless, they're yours to upkeep. It's not on other people to come mend them if they're broken. It's not on other people to come banging on the door every day. Like you can either choose to let them in or not. You have to uphold your boundaries. You cannot put your fence on somebody else's land. Like you cannot. That's elite. Like you, and so if you start, when you take that analogy onto real life, if you take that out, so like let's say you have an issue with the way a parent discusses finances with you, or let's do parenting, like the way your parent thinks you parent, or like whatever, because I feel like that's a very general conflict for people. You don't get to tell them how to say or speak to you, but you can say like, I do not feel comfortable with critiquing on my parenting, and so you will not, like, I will not be coming to things, or you can remove yourself. You don't get to tell them, like, if it's your house or whatever, you can tell them not to come to an event, but you don't get to tell them to not have judgment or their thoughts. You get to protect yourself from having to subject yourself to hearing them over and over and over again. Those are two very different things. And I think when you start to understand that your boundaries are yours, not other people's, to uphold, that it becomes a very different conversation. You do not get to put them on other people. It's not your negative. Your friends were gossiping, so they're negative and we can't be friends anymore. That's you. You are choosing to elevate and have different types of conversations and find relationships with that. If they want to have different conversations with you, and you want to go one-to-one to lunch with them and try those conversations, that's on you. It's not on them to change their behavior. It's on you to set the standard for your life. So I don't know if you guys have other opinions, thoughts on it, but like, I just feel like that's a really fiery conversation right now. And boundaries, like you're invading my boundaries, is becoming a very loosely used word, kind of like trigger was being overused there for a while. Like everything was getting a trigger warning or whatever.
I'd like to add a couple things into for perspective. If you look at negativity as salt, when you're marinating a steak or when you're marinating a piece of meat, you put salt on there. What does that salt do? It goes into the fibers of the meat. It penetrates. It goes through everything. It spreads through it the whole steak that you're going to put on the barbecue. So my point being is, look at what you're marinating yourself with. If negativity is coming at you from all angles, you're going to become more negative. It's just going to become natural. So what you could do is look at who your inner circle is. Look at the people that surround you. And if there's a lot of people, some people are popular. Some people have a large inner circle. All I want you to do is look at 5 people that you hang out with the most, 5 of them, and just determine, are they good? Are they positive? Are they negative? They might be good people, but just always come at it with a negative perspective. And negativity will brood more negativity. So of those 5 people, if it just so happens that you'd be like, Tawny, I'm going to use you as an example. I don't think you're negative, so don't take this the wrong way, but oh, Tawny, she's always spouting off exactly what is wrong in the situation, but she never provides a solution. Not that I don't want to be friends with her anymore, but I might need to limit my time that I go with her and put in somebody like, say, Jessie Lee as an example of that. She's a very successful person. And if I spend more time with her or learn from her or pay attention to her a lot more, I'm not getting as much of that negativity in there. So it's not going to penetrate me as much, protecting my heart. We're looking at your inner circle. These are the people that are going to marinate you in a different way and elevate your vibe. If you elevate your vibe, there'll come a day when you don't have to actively seek out negativity to remove it. Your vibe will just keep that negativity away. And yes, everybody is going to have ebbs and flows. It's going to have its highs and it's going to have its lows. Not everybody can be high and happy and energetic all the time. I'm a freak of nature. But even I have my days where it gets low and it's like, what should I do here? I just want to not turn my camera on. I don't want to talk to people. I want to stay away from it because I don't want to affect other people's daily life. I don't want to bring my negativity and put it on them. So like I'm saying, everybody has the ebbs and the flows. If you look at your inner circle when you're in your low and you want to elevate it, it might be right there, those 5 people that's around you.
Well, and I like how it's kind of going off of everything that you guys are saying is that it's not necessarily, we're not saying like, oh, my friend only talks about people. Sarah's always just in my ear talking about people. So I'm just never going to talk to Sarah again. That's not what we're saying. Maybe it just starts with the next time you're hanging out, she starts talking about someone, you go, hey, let's talk about, do you have a new hobby? Maybe you redirect. That's called redirecting. You just change the conversation. You don't say to her, you know what, Sarah, you're always talking shit and I hate it. So we're not going to talk anymore. Like, how would you feel if your friend just all of a sudden was like, guess what? You would be like, excuse me. Instead, you can just choose to set the boundary that I don't like to talk about other people. I don't want to spend my time and energy hearing what Sarah Sue is doing and Becky over there. I don't care. You don't have to say that. You can just start talking about other things, change the subject and set the boundary. Maybe that person is someone who, you notice you can have a short little conversation and then when it gets long, so maybe you can set things up where that like Annie said, you go on dates one-on-one and see how it goes. So we're not saying like boundaries. I think the problem is everybody's thinking like, I'm just going to cut it right there. And like, it doesn't have to be that way. And I hope you realize like, as you're changing, so are they changing. And I hope like people give me the opportunity, because I used to think that my boundaries, like I would tell other people, like, don't talk to me past this point. I can't tell you guys not to message me. And then when you message me respond to everybody. And then the boundary is mine to set, mine to not check, mine to not do the things and check the phone. Yes.
You got something for you. So like you're setting this boundary. So instead of being awkward turtle and drawing that line in the sand and saying like, this conversation can't go any further because of my boundaries, instead of being that awkward turtle, if you take care of your body in a way of hydration, you drink the right amount of water. When these negative scenarios come up and you're like, I don't know how I can address that. You're just going to go, listen, I drink a lot of water. I got to go to the washroom. You're removed from that situation. You don't have to worry about addressing it awkwardly. And then call it positive peeing. And then you can stay away from the negativity.
Or I like to give you a tip if you know someone loves some family members, but I have one family member who loves to just drag on and on. So I, on my phone, set a timer. And so while we're talking, all of a sudden my phone goes, and I go, I am so sorry, I have to go. You don't have to tell them that was a timer I set because I knew I can't talk to you. But like, and I know when I say, I'm laughing as I'm saying it because I like to but truly, if to keep your personal to your mental health and the relationship still alive, like I like to talk to her, I chat to her about what's going on with the family, we catch up, but then it seems like always after 10-15 minutes she starts giving me the gossip of everybody in the family, and I told her I don't really want to hear it and she keeps continuing. Guess what? Again, a boundary does not have to be, well, that's it, our phone calls are done. Maybe you just set a little timer, you don't talk to him the full time.
I love that. I recently went through a personal thing with a friend where we were around a lot of people and they made a comment about whether or not I was ever going to have a child with Dale, my significant other. And like the whole group kind of laughed. Dale was being silly at the time. So it was like definitely a quip at me, but it really like did not sit well with me even in the moment. I laughed it off because there was a bunch of people around all drinking. We were I'm not gonna tell a lot of details of the story because I'm gonna share this publicly. But regardless, like I still have not sat them down, but like for days and weeks now, that set heavy on my heart and heavier and heavier. And I don't think they've thought about it again. So like I am going to pull them aside and have a conversation about how it hurt me, but I'm not going to bring up the words like Tawny really helped me with this. Like they didn't do necessarily anything wrong. I'm just going to talk about why it hurt me and like why in the future I would really appreciate them avoiding such a sensitive topic. So maybe it's just that you need some time and space from the conversation. Like you do not need to, like every time your boundaries are pushed or something said that offends you, you don't need to react right away. And I think we live in a culture, and this happens all the time on TikTok and on all these other platforms that we work on. People are really quick to make a comment based on a 15-second video sometimes and make massive assessments. That's what we're constantly doing. And in fact, we're making judgments on things within the first 3 to 5 seconds of us encountering them on social media. So we're making very quick judgments and decisions every day. And we kind of get used to that just being okay. That it's not okay when it comes to our personal development, especially when it comes to friendships and like super important relationships in our lives. Because if you just blah out like your crap and I'm like, oh my God, like how could you say that to me? Like, you don't know, I'm almost 30 and maybe I really want a baby. If I did that to her, that would not get the point across. That would just be me reacting in the moment and create a whole scene. And that's so much less effective than having a sit down conversation with her at a later date saying, hey, I've been thinking about this for a while. Hey, we've hung out since then and like multiple times and I didn't say anything, but it's really sat heavy. And I took this moment to talk to you because it was a more appropriate time. Like even like I just the faces that they're making back at me, like that hits different as a friendship. That tells me you're taking me seriously and you've thought about what you want to say. So that's a really great way, especially with more intimate or long-term relationships, I think, to go about the boundaries conversation is really sit them down, acknowledge and appreciate like their friendship with you and that the things they say impact you. Because when they know that, then it's coming from a much more compassionate place already in the conversation. So that's my big tip for big conversations and for starting to handle them is to not do them in the moment and sit back and really make them I statement centered. So like I feel, I think, and just remember to reiterate like your appreciation for their friendship, because if they're important enough to make you this upset, they're important enough to have probably a really deep conversation with you about it if they give a crap about you.
You know, building on that, you said your friend didn't even paid another moment's notice ever after they said it since then, but it's weighed so heavy on your mind. I was speaking to Gage today. Gage, my oldest, or my second oldest. Chris was my oldest. Gage, I told him, I said, it's really easy to be a negative person or a bad, I use the word bad just to simplify it for him. I said, it's really easy to be a bad person. I said, that's why being good is so much work. It's so much harder because it takes a lot more effort for you to be aware of it. If you might not even realize how badly you've hurt somebody, you never paid another moment's notice, never thought, didn't cross your mind again. But look at the impact it could have had. That's why to be good, it takes effort, it takes work. That's why you get such a self-sense pride when you are that elevated person, you do have that kind of a positive stature. So I just want to reiterate to people who might be listening, it's really easy to point out the flaws or the negativity or be bad, but it's hard to be good. But be good because darn it, you will be really proud of who you are.
One of my favorite quotes on that was, negative emotions are hard. Wow, dang it. I had the quote. Oh no, it was like positive emotions take work and negative. What the heck? Do you have it? Oh, this is gonna bug me. On the
I know what quote you're talking about too.
Right?
It was reminding me of the smiling one. It takes like 500 muscles to smile, but like 34 to frown. So that's why it's such more effort to. I don't know the phrase that you're talking about though.
JL said it.
Find it, or we'll title this with it.
Oh, positive emotions take work and negative emotions work you. So like it does take a lot more work to have positive emotions. So positive emotions take work and negative emotions work you. Sorry. I was like, that's gonna bug me.
Fine.
But that was a Google Keep. I just typed in, I was like, negative emotions, and it was like boop boop, all these cool things.
So if you guys have any technical questions, obviously you should just use Google Keep to find it. I know we didn't do technical stuff today, but I think that mindset is almost more of the battle when it comes to being a social media creator. At least it has been for me. And I see it all over the internet, not just with people who work in the same business realm as we do, but with people who are full-time coaches, full-time digital product creators, full-time influencers, full-time TikTokers. Like, it doesn't matter. The thing is the same, showing up on the internet time and time again. Somebody just made a video. You take thick skin. But I think it's more than that. I think it takes a lot of self-growth and self-love, and that only develops if you do everything we kind of talked about today.
Totally agree. And I feel like this, oh, sorry.
You're good. That's how I was gonna answer.
I was
Oh, no. They're both frozen, but I'm not. I don't know what happened. I don't know if you guys can hear me. That's so weird. Okay, well, I don't know what part's gonna go up, so I'm just gonna talk. And hopefully I'm not talking over them. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. This is so odd.
Oh, now we can see you again. You're good.
What did you say? It didn't catch any of it. No, you didn't say?
no, we think we were okay. It was just yours. You just say what you need to say now. Everything is okay. It's still smooth.
Was that even in all businesses, I think it's important, like boundaries is a hot topic. And I know a lot of people like there's no balance, like life isn't about balance, it's about finding harmony. But also in this digital era, like people think, oh, well, I texted you and you didn't respond right away, like, or whatever. I think we really need to normalize, like, I almost miss the phone being attached to the wall, because sometimes it's like, well, yeah, or people like, well, I saw that you read it. And it's like, I read it, but I was like in the middle of doing something. I totally forgot. And so I'm hoping that this new wave of people, and I'm starting to see it on social media, I don't know if you guys are, people are consciously saying, we put the phones down during dinner. We make sure we unplug and we're doing some things, because I realized I love sharing my life and I love documenting, but also like, I really love that there are some things that I'm like, I don't have to record this. And for a while it was like that. It was like, oh my God, I didn't record that. And Patrick would be like, oh, like it didn't happen because you didn't record it. And it was like, and now I kind of see it. I'm like, okay, I'm loving this more, doing things online, but also unplugging and enjoying real life, the real deal. Yes, yes, yes. I absolutely love it. Okay. I know it's at like 1 minute. Do you have like, does anyone have 1 minute of last? I think we're just going to end it here, since it just keeps doing this. So I don't know why. Hopefully it's because of the heat wave. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, because I just feel bad. It's less than a minute. So we're going to end this and I'm going to catch you guys later. Come back every Thursday. We will be here. Bye. Okay, poop.